Hey you, thanks for joining me again for another video. Um, there is so much that has happened lately, and this is going to be another two-parter video because life has been crazy. A lot has happened, and through that, my channel's kind of changing. But I'm hoping you guys will, everybody will keep with me. I'm hoping. I'll explain why here in a minute. I'll explain some of it. What I want to discuss today is something that I have had. It's always been intriguing to me. Let me say that. I guess it's always been intriguing to me. Supernatural type things, things that involve the spirit world. Um, ghost. People that have died. That kind of thing has always intrigued me since I was little. It's always been very interesting to me. I used to read books on it, but maybe because of what happened to me, I've had a lot of different experiences um, with the dead, I guess you could say, with psychics, with Ouija boards that I want to talk about because when I was using those, I had one set of perspective of what I thought I was seeing, what I thought I was understanding in the world. And now I'm looking back on it with a different perspective. So I kind of want to share both sides and I guess just kind of share these woe, chilly things that give you chills type things that I've experienced, growing up throughout my life with ghosts. So I'm going to tell you a few different things, and I hope you will stay with me till the end. Okay, so story number one is a ghost story. Okay, let's light the campfire, get the s'mores out, get ready to be scared. It's just a really trippy story. What happened to me was I was, I guess, maybe about 17 or so. I came home from probably my work, my job at Kmart, whatever I was doing back in the day, Target. And I came home and I remember walking up the stairs to go to my bedroom, and our living room sits down there. So I was talking to my mom at the same time, and all of a sudden it just kind of hit me, and I'm like, I smell Grammer's perfume. That was my dad's mom. She had died, or I'm sorry, my dad had died, but I just smelled her perfume. It was very distinctive. She only wore it, or she wasn't the only one, obviously, but she's the only one that I had ever recognized that scent on. So it was very recognizable when I did smell it. It was something like, wow, like I smell grammar right now. So not more than 2 hours probably had passed before my mom received a phone call from my uncle. It was his mom also, that she had passed. So wow, right? That's a little bit of crazy. That's the first one. And yeah, pretty intense for me. It wasn't my only ghost encounter. If you followed my channel, I spoke about my dad dying. My dad died when I was 12, and that grammar story, my grandma, that was later in life. But my first ghost sighting, I was about 12, perhaps 13. I think I just turned 13 because my dad unfortunately died 3 days before my birthday. So you could imagine the birthday. Um, I was probably about 13. We were still living in the home where he had died at. Not in the home, but he was living there at the time. And what would happen a lot of times in the evening is my dad would, um, we'd leave our bedroom door open because we were littler, and it was a nightlight. They'd leave the hall light on for us in the evening, and my dad sometimes would just sit there and kind of lean up against the wall and look in on us at night. So after he was gone one night, my brother and I both woke up and saw him doing the same thing. And I remember looking at my brother. At the time, if I was 13, he was about 11. We looked at each other with eyes of terror, and got under the covers. It was a smoky type. It was his shape, only it had like it was not a form. You could see like the smoke kind of swirling, like this dark smoke, very trippy. I could still remember it's like embedded in my brain. And my brother, who's a very logical type, very doesn't he's a very skeptic person, I guess, skeptical about things. He will still admit to this day that what we saw was certainly happened, that we both hid under our covers after it. And yeah, that's a crazy one as well. Because we're speaking about my dad and what happened. So I was into psychics back then. I really started to get in touch with the paranormal and stuff, especially after seeing a ghost at like 13 years old. I really got into the paranormal maybe about 16, 17, and really started getting books on it and looking at it, interested in psychics, how they did that, how it worked. I would read on Houdini as well, who would sit and debunk a lot of people that would make ghost claims or psychic claims and do seances and that kind of thing. But I was very interested in that, and it so happened my friend, he was one of my best friends, and he never mentioned his mom much, but I one day was going on one of my rants about how much psychics interest me and how I don't understand how that works, but it's really intriguing to me. And he had told me that his mom was like a world-renowned psychic from England. They had moved here. He was English, and he asked if I would like to have a reading that she would probably give me one for free. So obviously, in my curiosity and the way I was like, oh yeah, like let's do this. So um, we did it, and what happened was not what I expected at all. I'm trying to remember because I have some notes here as well because I made notes of what happened. I mean, I was like 17 years old, so it was a long time ago. But basically, sat down in her bedroom. She pulled some tarot cards out, laid them down, gave me a bit of a reading about that. I don't remember a bunch, but she did. I remember it stuck with me that she had said I'm psychic. So I was like, well, great, because I want to be. That was big to me back then. So she had told me I had a very intuitive type personality. And so she did the reading, and then she said, your dad is here. And would you like to speak to him? And that really, I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't know she was going that route. So she said, would you like to speak to him, or would you like to have him speak to you? So I was kind of in shock. And at the same time, I was kind of like, this can't be. So I said, let's let him talk to me. And what happened was very trippy. One thing I remember, first off, he talked about a football. It was weird because she was from England and they don't have football there. Football is soccer in England. So she was saying he's trying to show me a ball that you have, but it has points on it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like a football he had given me, like close to before he died. And she had said he's asking where it is, and not because he doesn't know, but because you didn't take care of it. You didn't, you weren't responsible with it. And I remembered, it just hit in my head all of a sudden. I remembered that I had left it at the house. We had moved from the house because we could no longer afford it after my dad died. So we moved to a different house. And I remember I just left it on the side of the yard. And I had seen it there and left it and I hadn't given it a second thought. That was one trippy thing. She also told me that he had a watch he wants me to have. And she told me exactly where it was in my mother's room and what it looked like through my dad, supposedly, and that he wanted me to have it. So I went to get that watch. When I got home, I told my mom about it, and I said, I'm going to go up. And I told her where it was, and she said, that's exactly where it is. Went up to get it, but she's like, it's broken. But when I grabbed it, it was working. That's crazy to me. But I think I have a better understanding of what's going on, so I'm going to explain that when I'm done telling all these weird things that happened to me. Okay, another weird one was that she had said there is a box to the right of your mom's bed, and he wants to let her know, because I was recording this. I had a recorder, a little boombox recorder, so I was recording, or she actually did, but I brought a blank tape, and she recorded the whole thing for me. So I played it for my mom, but she had said, there's a box to the right side of your mom's bed where she sleeps, and he says he will tap on it sometimes to let her know that he's there. So I asked my mom about that box, and she said, yeah, that's where his box of ashes are. I want to save them till we go together. I was just like, what in the world is going on? That was crazy. She'd also told me, now this is what really struck me weird, because she told me my spirit guides wanted to speak to me. And she said some things that were very true. She said at 15 years old, I was scared and, of the dark and stuff, but then I wasn't anymore, and that was my spirit guides leaving me for a while to let me develop on my own. But, they were talking about me being intuitive, and they also, the one that really struck me was that they said, you're very good at manipulating, and you don't use it enough. Like you could use it more on your mom to get the things you want. And I remember going, what good entity would tell me to do that? To manipulate somebody else and to, try to distort their free will or their choice of what they want to do. That really struck me as weird. I haven't forgot it. So I'm going to get to what that means to me in a few minutes here. But some of the other things were that she, lots of crazy stuff. So on the tape, my mom was crying. He he said different things to my mom, or through her supposedly, that were jokes, like inside jokes between them. It was crazy. My friend didn't know all this about me. I had forgotten about a lot of it. So there is something there, but I don't believe it's what it's portrayed to be. Okay, so I do have another story, and it's related to her as well. I spent the night at my friend's house, and since I was into seances and Ouija boards and stuff, we decided to get out his Ouija board. And we got it out, and I remember playing with it, and I remember, you put your little hands on the whatever, I forget what it's called, but it started moving, and of course, like everybody that ever does that, they blame the other person for moving it. Oh, there has to be two people on it, the other person's moving it. He swore up and down that he wasn't moving it. But we played with it for a little while. I don't remember exactly what we were told, but we were getting answers and stuff to questions. And then we put it back exactly where it was again, under his mom's bed, I believe, and went to sleep. And the next night, she walks into his room and goes, "What did you guys do last night?" She's like, "I was up rescuing spirits all night long." Like, she knew. And I don't know, I don't know what rescuing spirits means really, and I imagine some people that are watching this YouTube video do, but that blew my mind, that she knew that, and that she had mentioned rescuing spirits all night. There's another instance where we were, my friend and I, again, doing a lot of crazy stuff, I guess, because, what I believe they are is not ghost and not benevolent. I believe that they are bad. So, we used a candle one time, and we were speaking into it and trying to communicate with my dad. And I swear to you, that candle, I can't even show you on the camera here, but it was huge. It was like the size of my torso, and I'm 6'5". Just this huge candlelight. Just it shot up to where it was unbelievable. And we called her, freaked out, and she said for us to imagine white lights and stuff to get rid of it, and we did. But yeah, a lot of freaky stuff with that. As you see, I'm talking about ghosts. I'm talking about a psychic that told me things she couldn't know. So a lot of upbringing with things that were very, very different. I guess very supernatural. So because of my interest in it, already existing, and then because of all of these crazy things that happened, and just how it was like, wow, there's something really out there. I went really down. Some people might say not a dark path, but I felt it was a dark path. I went into some dark things, searching because I had made contact. It felt like, so I was trying to search on how to do this myself. I'd missed my dad, and I just wanted to contact. I wanted to have some kind of supernatural experience, I guess. So I went down a really dark path. I did a lot of things that I shouldn't have done. I didn't understand the Bible back then. I hadn't read it. I was very anti-God. I would speak about how Jesus didn't exist, just kind of replaying things that I'd heard in my head. And I think that when we're not with Jesus, we kind of do tend to do that because, it rubs us wrong. It rubbed me so wrong, and that's kind of what I'm making these videos about, just to explain. Is I want to speak to people that understand where I was, that know where I was, that don't really to maybe even hear the word Jesus or just have a different understanding of Jesus. But I want to kind of explain where I was because I understand a lot of this one side of stuff, but then now I have a different perspective I want to share, and I just hope that people are open-minded enough, if they're not with Jesus, just to listen to me and hear me out instead of tuning me out like a lot of times people do. I come to you as somebody that's loving and not going to judge you, and wants to just kind of spread what I've learned, because it's so eye-opening to me. It's so amazing to me what has happened that I want to share it with people. And I just hope that if you don't already follow Jesus, you'll just kind of bear with me and listen through, because I'm not, attacking anybody. I'm not trying to do anything with other people's religion or anything. I'm just trying to speak what I know is the truth, and that's what I believe to be the truth. And it took me a while to believe that. When people used to say it's the truth, I'd say it's not. It's not. So I can understand that skepticism, but from my perspective, all of these things that happened were not what they portrayed to be. They were not spirit guides. They were not ghosts. I do believe they were demons. I full on do. And I know that might be laughable to some people or ridiculous. But like I said, when they had told me to use manipulation more, that made me feel a little weird. And just from reading the Bible, from understanding, from prayer, I pray, I fast, I try to get as deep of an understanding from God as I can. I'm not a big church person. I do go to church, but I'm not an organized religion person, so I'm not coming to you speaking in that way. I do understand there's a lot of things wrong with the church. I understand that a lot of Christians may not be living the way God. We're supposed to live like Jesus. We're supposed to be loving and even be with the sinners, just to help them, to have compassion. I may not like sin, but we all sin. Like I'm not free from it. I lust. I lie. I mean, there's things I do. So I understand, and I'm just trying to reach out to hopefully just give a little bit more understanding to people, but also understanding where they're at, because I've been there myself. So I believe these are demons, and I believe that their goal is to deceive us from believing in the true God. I believe that is what happens. I don't really have a bunch of Bible to back it up. There's two different things in the Bible that talks about what I think really happens is the dead are asleep. When they die, I believe the dead are asleep. They aren't even aware until the judgment day comes. So if they're not aware, and that's my belief, and I'm not positive on this, so please don't quote me, or do your own research. But I do believe they might be dead, even though I know Jesus ministered to them. But if they are dead, or if they're asleep, then they aren't roaming hallways, knocking on doors and stuff. But yet the demons are around, and the way I see this is, Lucifer was God's favorite angel, and he wanted to be like God, and he was prideful, and he got thrown out, and a third of the angels went with him to earth. He already knows the Bible's written. He already knows at the end he's going to be thrown in the lake of fire. He knows what's going to happen. So I think he's such a vengeful person that he wants to just hurt God. And he knows that God's creation, people, he loves more than anything else. He loves us more than anything else. So I believe in an attempt to hurt God. And this isn't, I'm not talking like what I've read in the Bible, just as much as I'm talking what I've prayed and what I feel through learning and being with God. I feel that, and just trying to understand and make sense of this, but I feel that Satan is trying to hurt God, and he's doing that by trying to steal souls. Those people, God wants nothing more than to have a relationship with everybody that he has created. So for the Satan to come, the enemy to come and ruin that plan, to come and cause sin in the world, and then to cause all of them to go away from God, like that's like goal number one for him. So he creates, TV that might influence us to think differently, podcasts, different things that we hear that are influencing us differently to make us not believe in God. I think that's inspired by him. And I also think that these ghosts, these demons, and perhaps even aliens I've thought about. A trippy story about aliens is that there was a guy that worked for Marfon, I believe it's called, the mutual UFO network thing, if you know what I'm talking about. But he researched different people that had claimed to have seen UFOs. He was an atheist at the time. And basically, like a long story short, a lot of people that he found had said that when they were taken up in these spaceships, they had said to they had used Jesus' name and had immediately returned back to their bed. And I thought, this actually turned this guy into a Christian. But I thought about it, and I thought, if that's the case, and all these people are saying that it's returning them immediately to their bed, then that eliminates, I believe, that unless these aliens are under God's control. But I think it sounds more like, because demons would be cast out through Jesus' name and stuff. So, I don't know. Little tidbit, if you ever get taken up by a UFO, please use Jesus' name and get back home. Don't let them probe you. That's not good. But yeah, that's very interesting to me as well. Using Jesus' name returns you to your bed. So that's like your go home button. Dorothy or whatever, click on Hills. I've never even watched Wizard of Oz, but yeah, that's powerful to me. So yeah, I believe it's a deception. I believe UFOs and aliens are a deception to take us away from God. I believe ghosts and spirits and that kind of stuff are deception to take us away. If you'd like to discuss it with me, I'm open to discuss it with you. I'm curious to other people's thoughts as well. I don't always just make up my mind 100%. I don't know if this is really the case. It just sounds right to me. It sounds like the ghosts aren't people wandering around, but that it's demons pretending to be people. So, love to hear your thoughts on that. at the bottom here in the comments. So I didn't have a ton of direction in my channel when I started this. I started just making videos on Kratom and how to get off Kratom, and then I moved on to health, healing, anxiety, depression kind of things. But I had, and I had a crazy experience the other night. I have insomnia sometimes, but I usually can pray and fall asleep, and I was not getting sleep, so I was very frustrated. But through it, God revealed something to me about this channel and the direction He wants me to take. And He also performed an incredible miracle. If you have followed me for any period of time, keep watching for the next episode, because what I'm going to discuss in the next one is really, it's amazing. It's just, it makes me praise God all day long for what happened, because even though I believed it, that He can do anything, I did not think it was going to happen to me. So I have to explain this because it's very exciting, but unfortunately I'm going to have to wait till the next video. But what I'm asking, please, is people, if you're not a Christian, I know I'm using the name Jesus a lot, and I know I'm talking about things, but please, if you're watching, please have an open mind. Like I said, I'm not a judgmental person. I know both sides. I'm just trying to speak as somebody that was once there, and I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying, I would love for you to come to Jesus, obviously, but I'm not trying to force you in anything. I'm just trying to give you a little insight of what I have learned by living it, and what I have seen through reading scripture, and having a relationship with God, trying to show you those things, because that way you do have two sides to look at. And I think anybody with an open mind would want both sides to be able to look at. I'm not only going to discuss God. I discussed, these hauntings in the beginning. I'm going to discuss other things as well, but this channel will be taking a little bit of a different direction. I hope you guys all will stay with me and follow through, because that's what I feel I've been called to do. And my big hope here is a lot of people have a negative thought about Jesus Christ, because there's churches that are teaching false doctrines and sending out Christians into the world that are not living by what God wants them to live by. There's, just so much disinformation about who Jesus is and what He's doing. So I want to put the true light on Jesus through this video. So I want to kind of show you who He is, because He's a lot different than you probably think. And He's not somebody to despise or to hate His name. He was just somebody so amazing that came to earth, that was to live a life like He did, to put yourself on a cross. He could have gotten off that cross. He could have gotten away. He didn't have to wait for them to do that. He knew what was happening. And just the way he was so loving. He was a God, He's God in human form, but it was so much love, and it was just so much compassion. So I want to try to shed through this channel also a little bit of a different light on who He is. Thank you, though, so much for watching and listening to me go on about this. What I am asking for people to do is, if you feel led by the Spirit, please contribute some money to this ministry. I have big plans for it, and I'm going to reveal a lot more in the next video, but God told me to say that, and He said I will be blessed for it, so I am saying it. I am following God, but He said that this is my new jam. So if you feel so led, please go to my Patreon account. The link is down in the description, and please contribute some money to help me with this ministry and help me reach people. If this ministry could help me turn it into where I can do this full time and help glorify God and bring people to God, hopefully, or at least let them know what God is like in a different light through this ministry, that would be amazing. God has been working so powerfully. The next video that I'm going to play, I'm going to reveal something that is a miracle, and just how He explained what is going on and all that. So please, if you feel led, please contribute to my Patreon account and link. If you're just a fan of my stuff and want to support, please do so. I would really appreciate it. Also, like, comment, subscribe. All those things help me so much. So be sure to tune in next time. I'm going to share what happened again. And it's like, crazy stuff keeps happening, and I keep saying, like, every video's got something crazy in it. We're talking about ghosts this time. I was talking about visions, blah, blah, blah. But this next one's like the granddaddy of them all. And it's how that whole vision comes together. Plus, it's just amazing. It happened a week ago. I'm still in shock. So I can't wait to share it with you guys. So please tune in next time for the next video. And until then, be well and God bless.